I will open this meeting of the planning board. The town of Maynard, it is August 19th at 7:03 PM. We have an agenda? Oh, there we go. Chris, the chair, will be arriving a few minutes late, so we will begin with number one. Should we skip number one? We go to
We can, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Did we announce the date? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Correct.
it's the 19th of August.
We have a full board.
And we have a full board,
Right,
except Chris, who hopefully will be arriving soon,
and
and Mark, our alternate, is present. Everyone is present in town hall. We can start with number 2 on the agenda for the evening, which is A&R determination request for 145, 147 Parker Street. Bill, if you want to give us a primer on this.
yes, the applicant is here as well. This is a standard approval not required, determination. The property being divided, you have the small versions, in front of you. There's a large one here if you don't have to pick with. It'll sure look like you bring it up. It's like, the minimum lot size, the setbacks, and all the dimensional requirements for the zoning district have been met. Staff report lays out specifics, what's being, from the donor partial, what's being taken and what is being created. So, Brian Condon's, bringing this forward, and Mr. Condon's here if you have any questions.
Great. Hi,
I know.
thanks for coming in. It looks like no one from internal review has any objections.
No.
Uh,
Yeah, just to refresh what the board is just gonna, being requested to make a determination, the plan does not constitute a subdivision. And we're not creating, a new subdivision, consequently, the rules of subdivision law do not apply, and that's what the board is determining. The board determines that that's been met, we'll execute this plan, and then it's good to go. It's an administrative approval rather than our typical quasi judicial.
Does anyone on the board have any thoughts?
Do not.
Good with it.
All right.
I'll make,
Great, thanks, Phil.
all right, I'll make a motion to determine that the subject plan does not constitute a subdivision and is entitled to A&R endorsement based on the criteria: A, that the lots shown on the plan front a public way. B, the lots depicted meet the minimum frontage requirements. And C, that vital access exists to such lots as required by MGL 41, section 81M.
Second that. Okay, all those in favor? Roll call. Jeff Black,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
I'm a yes, Phil,
Yes.
great.
Okay, so what we'll do, I'll have this ready for you tomorrow, later in the morning, and we'll have a solid copy, so you can take it with you. We have, and, the one plan will have is, you, have it soon. Copy of the same. And our, we're taking down report, you know, and make sure we were, email a copy. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Great, thank you. Thank you. Chris is joined. Okay, the meeting.
I have joined.
No, I'm gonna hand over the chair. Chris Arsenault, who has arrived, thank God. Sorry, is that out loud?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Okay. Bill, you want to turn to item 3?
Yes,
Okay.
Item 3 is a determination of a major or minor modification. For 115 Main Street. The board opened this, a couple weeks back, I think it had some. Wait, no, I'm sorry, you didn't, you're not on this.
This is a new item.
Right, I'll just got mixed up as one, sorry. Yeah, so the applicant and his engineer are here, but basically what they're requesting is a determination of a minor or major amendment to the existing site plan and special permit. Specifically, there is a request to change the wall that was approved on the river. And you may recall when this was the first approval, it consisted of a stone wall. At one point subsequently, the applicant requested a change when they went to underground parking, and a brick wall or a block wall was approved. The applicant is requesting to go back to the original design, which is a stone wall. There are some as-built that will be required, and there's some change in the location, so it will be required new as-built as well as a stamped plan. The second request is, I'm gonna let the applicant's engineer, who's with us tonight as well, Mr. Kirschner, explain it, but in a nutshell, they're requesting a modification to the drainage system from what was approved by the board in, I think it was 2023 to 22, to a new design that you have. You'll see that there are there's some correspondence from Mr. Kirschner and from the town's peer reviewer, which was Roadwreck Engineering. And there are some specifics that I think that I had a chance to discuss with the chair, and that you should have all had an opportunity to see that you would probably want to raise that are in the peer review comments. So if Mr. McDonald was here, again, the owner applicant, and the engineer Paul Kirschner is here as well. So what this board is being requested to do is make determination on those two items, whether the change would constitute a minor or a major amendment. If it's a minor amendment, we do it administratively, and there can be conditions placed on it if there's something specific, like in this case, for example, we require as-built and any materials that are altered, we'd have to have them updated and signed off and so on. But the board would be asked to make that determination. If they determine that it's a major modification, and we start the planning board hearing process over again. And at this point, the project is near completion, but I think that's pretty much everything. Unless there's any questions beyond, I'd like to turn it over to the applicants. Is there anything else that the board wants to know? Conservation is yet to hear this, or the legal plan and determination process.
This is going in front of conservation as well.
Depending, yeah, it's either going next week or in 2 weeks, I think, depending on the outcome of tonight.
Okay.
And there's also a development agreement that was just amended. That you may recall we signed a couple of weeks ago that the big change was that the applicant is assuming maintenance and ongoing responsibility for the maintenance of the promenade and the wall itself. That's why we had that change made to the development agreement. My suggestion would be that ultimately the board, whatever the board decides tonight, or going forward, that any new exhibits, we want to make sure they're entered as part of the record and recorded as well. Any final as-built, because there is going to be a design fluctuation from what was originally approved somewhat. to what was what was originally approved by the development agreement to what was actually constructed. I think are primarily minor, but I'll leave that to the board.
And so the request is about a major minor modification determination about the choice to change the wall design. Correct?
Change the wall design is one.
Yeah.
And the proposed drainage modifications.
Okay,
And there's comments to turn it, I see you should have all the comments, sorry, printed. So I think everything we have, I printed you guys a copy of it, so. Might be worth taking a minute if you want to take a look over them. But I think,
okay, so those are two, can we consider those two separate changes in how we view this?
I think, well, yeah, I would look at them two separately, understanding that without both, the project, until both are approved, the project can't get forward the next phase.
Sure, but in terms of our determination.
Yeah, right.
They
That would
can
be correct. That's my suggestion.
any questions from the board about the assignment on this tonight?
Yeah, I guess a little bit. How does the retaining wall being constructed in a different location affect major minor modification at all? If
Really?
then, okay,
But my recommendation would be that we want an as-built of what was constructed there before we consider the project completed. The stamped as-built, which is. I think, in my opinion, and the board may feel differently, but my opinion was that this is pretty much what was approved the first time was the stone rather than block. That was on our first approval, so it's kind of like going back there, so aesthetically, I guess as if the board thinks, this is better and than the concrete block.
And as of now, we have the initial letter submitted by,
You'll have, you'll have
I'm
folks,
just looking for the
yeah,
date
you should be
here.
all stapled together there.
So
I tried to highlight,
so-
it's really good mixed up, you see it?
So Stamsky submitted, just so everyone's clear, Stamsky submitted the original letter on July 29th regarding the modification of the drain system. And that was reviewed by Brobeck Engineering. That letter is dated August 14th. Was there? Does this 29th letter also include the submittal? The 29th letter from Stamsky, does that also include the description of the wall? Or is that just the drainage system? And we can ask these guys here too, if
This
there's
was,
like,
yeah, I believe that July 29th was just the drainage.
and I'm seeing the June 16th letter is the modification of the wall type, so we have two letters from Stamsky, right?
Right.
Okay,
Good request, right?
two requests, and the Brobeck letter on the 14th. Reviews both of those.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's your top letter.
You have someone trying to come in.
All right, so I'm happy to turn it over to you guys, and just walk us through the changes you're looking to make. If you could, sorry, just identify yourself for the record.
Yeah, for the record, my name is Paul Kirchner from Stamsky McNary, here on behalf of applicant McCall Development. Jimmy is sitting next to me. So regarding the wall, I think that Bill summed it up well. I believe this modification is pretty straightforward. The only 2 points I want to clarify on that are, one, that the wall has been built as a gravity boulder wall. It is there right now. So we're looking to formalize that, if the board agrees that that is a minor modification of the site plan. Also, this wall was inspected by Paul Phelan, structural engineer, to confirm that it is sufficient for the loaded skiers. So otherwise, it really does boil down to just a change in wall type. The location does deviate slightly from the approved plan, but in my opinion, it is substantially in compliance with the approval in terms of location. One of the things I tried to highlight in the modification request is that there are essentially capstones on top of the wall right now that were placed temporarily to stabilize it before things are finished, like the remainder of the promenade. So the wall does appear much wider at its top than it actually is. It, so the difference between what was shown on the approved plan and what is shown on that progress as-built plan that we included with the modification request isn't as substantial as it may appear. The other modification request we submitted is related to the drainage design, so I did see the peer review comments from Bowbrook Engineering. Is certainly more focused on that particular modification than the wall. That modification is for the removal of an overflow pipe. So the approved site plan includes a series of catch basins, trench drains, treatment manholes that divert runoff to a subsurface infiltration areas, subsurface chambers. That system was designed to overflow via pipe to an existing drain located on the town's parcel. And that is what is identified here is that pipe connection. Proposed to tie into the town drain at a manhole to serve as the primary overflow. There is also a catch basin a little bit further down on the page. It's like a square shaped bubble that was included in the approved plan to overflow during the 100-year design storm. So if you review the stormwater calcs for the 2 and 10-year storm, only the pipe would overflow. For the 100-year storm, both the pipe and then eventually the catch basin would overflow. What a proposed modification is for now is to eliminate that pipe, so all the overflow goes via that catch basin. We had initially engaged with Bill and I spoke with John Bowbrook a couple of months ago to talk about this proposed modification. He did raise concerns related to icing that potentially occur with runoff bubbling out of the top of this catch basin. And also erosion of the retaining wall because it is gravity boulder, there's no mortar. So what we've done is rather than letting it bubble at the top as its only means of exit, we're proposing a stone channel lined with mortar so that water can get out of the top of the catch basin, but it will sort of stay below, not out of the top of the catch basin, but it'll stay below the surface. Now during the higher intensity storm, it would bubble at the top, but it provides the stormwater runoff. Clearly identifiable low point where, yes, there may be a temporary raising of that water level, so it is over the grade of that catch basin, but it can get over the wall without potentially pooling in the front. We've also included a scupper in the overflow sketch plan that we submitted. So we think that addresses the icing concern because it gives the water a clear place to go, and also the erosion concern raised because we have proposed that drainage channel to be lined with mortar. It is the preference of the DPW, at least based on our correspondence with them, that they don't want to see the pipe connection to their system. So while they didn't review this, and they made that very clear, for compliance with any stormwater rule in terms of peak rate or anything like that, they prefer us not to connect. So they're on board with this. Like I said, we did get that letter from Bowbrook Engineering. I had to go through it. We only got that late Thursday, so I had an opportunity to formally reply to it. You know, I can go through the comments point by point if you would like me to, but just, you know, easy things. We can provide ADA accessible grade over the catch basin to address that comment. And then another point is I do not think that the proposed modification is such that a full stormwater report must be provided. We're certainly willing to provide the calculations to show that we are not going to increase peak rates compared to the pre-development condition. But the review letter mentions a deviation in the wall is going to change the subcatchment areas and this and that. The deviation in the wall is very small, and you're probably talking maybe 100 square feet. I don't even think it's that. That's not going to really change the drainage calculations as far as I see it. So like I said, I can go through the comments one by one if you want, but I'll let you do so.
Thank you. Can we take this one at a time? So can we first discuss the wall? Any comments or questions about the proposed modification on the wall?
I'm
looking at the colored plan. It's the last one. So the new, or the wall as currently constructed is in blue, right? Those squares were tree pits, right, just to the right of that? On the top of it. Now, right at the edge of the parking spaces, those were.
Yep.
Tree boxes. So is the wall currently very close to where at least 3, 4 of those? Like what's the new distance between, this doesn't have dimensions on the scale, but is that not gonna basically make it very difficult to walk on the promenade?
Yeah, so Jimmy, you might be able to provide some input on that.
Oh, yeah, I heard this a number of times, how the wall was not built where the wall was on the drawings. The wall is not off by inches, and actually, and the end closer to the main street, the old wall is actually out more than it showed on the plan. So for square inches, we would actually gain square inches in the promenade. It's not like we cheated it over 3 feet. We put wide stone all across the top, which we're gonna reduce that. It shows about 4 feet. We're gonna reduce that down to about 2 feet. So your wall will be so close, and we had a surveyor come and measure it, just in case we didn't get it right. I always wanted to make the wall straight, because I'm a strong believer that the wall was built 100 years ago straight, but I never could get anywhere by saying, no, we gotta build the wall straight. So I get in and we built the wall the way it showed on the drawings, but it's very, very close. You're not getting cheated on the promenade, and you'll be able to walk down. The most narrow part of the promenade is, I believe, 15 feet. If it's off by inches, that's the most narrow part. The wide part's like 20 something.
Bill, can you just scroll the screen to the. This plan with the.
It's probably in the other packet for the wall application.
It's in the June letter.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this scale on here. That's really in spaces.
Yeah, that's only like,
4 feet.
Yeah,
it's 10 feet from a park, it's 2 feet from a tree box.
Yeah, so I think what. Key point to remember is that there's a capstone there now, and that's the width shown on the plan. But that's temporary because the site. You know, the parking lot hasn't been paved, the promenade hasn't been built. Those stones that are there right now will be removed. Promenade will be built, there'll be different capstones placed upon it, will maintain that access.
So there's gonna be a railing along the river though, right?
Yeah,
So what's the minimum distance from the railing to the closest tree box?
Don't know the distance, but it's within inches. If anything, well, there's a pool. It's not like it's a foot smaller, 2 feet.
Is this the one you wanted, Jeff? Yeah, the colored one shows it a little bit better.
the next
one.
page, yeah.
so yeah, those 3 tree boxes at the bottom, I think, is our only concern, and if it is actually 15 feet wide, then that's fine, but on this plan,
It's not.
it's not. So that's, if there's gonna be an updated plan, then that's, you know,
What does your plan say?
So this,
well, it doesn't have a measurement marked, but I'm just saying, Bill, if you go back to,
Sure.
oh yeah. If you zoom in on like maybe the bottom half of the plan a little bit, Bill,
Okay.
or not, it's fine, never mind, don't zoom in.
I know what you're saying.
Yes, thank you,
This
yes,
is about 15 feet wide. I understand what we're concerned with is the tree boxes.
yes,
So that was never gonna be 15 feet wide. The red is the approved
Okay.
location. This blue, it's wider than it's going to be.
yep,
That corridor. you be as wide as feasible, we certainly be wider than 5 feet.
Okay,
So
so
you
it,
can walk
to
between,
my untrained eye, if the wall is still in approximately, once the capstones are taken off, it'll be in the same place. If the whole thing is 15 feet at the narrowest point, it looks like the tree boxes might eat up half of that, so we're
Yes.
looking at a minimum 8 foot wide. At the narrowest point.
I would guess it to be that it could be as narrow as 5 feet,
Okay.
that's what you need for.
Yep. Just checking, just looking at this, it's hard to read it as anything other than being squished up against the tree box, but I see what you're saying.
So we don't have anything that shows where it is on the plan. I wish we only see the cap, that's not really gonna stay.
yes,
So is it approximately on the left side shown, like the,
right. Left side. And then you have to figure about 2 feet for the final capstone once you finish the wall,
right,
and that'll be its final form.
okay.
And the brick will butt up to that. The portion. Your rail go up.
So, wait, so the pavers that were being shown, do they go on top of the wall or do they match against the side of the wall?
Into the side of it.
Yeah.
To the side of it.
Where's the railing? On the wall or on the
Yes.
pavers?
On the wall.
On the wall. So I just need some guarantee of a minimum width. Cause we had. Look at that scaling from the parking spaces. We had at least. Well, at a minimum. So I wouldn't ever wanna go below. Well, I'd rather stay at 12, but.
Believe me, it's not off by inches. I mean, it's not like the wall is off by feet.
I don't know, I have a hard time making a consideration of major minor if I don't actually know where the wall.
Well, can we pull up the plan that was approved?
That's the original plan.
Yeah, when it's approved. How many feet do we have?
It's one thing for me, I know because it's big, like, the best one for that.
I think this is probably the clearest plan, so
This one.
I think so, yeah.
I think the scale's right. You guys see that?
Zoom in some more,
Looks like-
zoom into the push button.
Okay, so here, this is probably our narrowest here. There's 15.
We're measuring it at about 9 to 10 feet at the narrowest point. Between wall and,
Between rail and edge of the box.
yeah, rail and
Edge of box,
edge
yeah.
of tree, well, right?
Yeah, right.
That But
nine to 10 feet.
Yep.
I believe the measurement is not to the box on that, right?
Well,
Yep.
we're just measuring off of maps here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So how many feet do you allow for the box? 5 feet.
Oh,
I mean, depends on how they're drawn on the drawings.
there's a detail in there somewhere, I assume.
So the overalls. It's closer to 15 feet.
yeah, so the narrowest point is like,
I guess I wouldn't wanna see the narrowest less than 8.
These boxes are shown at 5 foot square. The well of the box, or whatever we're calling it.
yeah, so 15 feet is the narrowest point, but you have a 5-foot well. Tree well, which makes it more like 9 to 10 feet.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, probably you need 8 foot clear,
I mean,
easy,
what's ADA? What do we need for ADA?
5 feet.
not much, but.
It's actually not gonna be a problem. If you wanna make it 8 feet, make it 8 feet. Not gonna be a problem. I know it works.
If it stands at somewhere in the 9 to 10 feet range.
I'm just still stuck on the request, because the request is, does the wall make a difference, and I don't know what the wall is.
Because of the capstone shown in the drawing.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but that's 5 to 6 feet wide, not built.
What is the left, on the color drawing? The blue outline, which is the cap, is the left side of that wall supposed to indicate the front face of the wall, the river facing face of the wall, and I guess where is the railing in relation to that? Like how is the, you know, how much distance do you need from the face of the wall to the railing to have a proper anchorage? And I think to determine if it's a major minor modification, we need to see what that clear distance is from rail to. What is that walkway distance?
The rail to the,
Yeah, we don't, so the wall is moved slightly.
Right.
All, you know, but, so where does, you know, the rail's not gonna be, you know, right along the front face of the wall, right? There has to be some offset.
Can you pull the drawing up showing the rail? We had a detail on that.
in the same, this one,
We had a detail how the.
Original plan said,
How
the
that rail.
original plan said we were just looking at them over.
okay?
I think it's one of the last sheets of that.
The original.
Yeah, I think it was one of the last sheets of this set.
Look at this.
Do you remember what sheet it's on, Jim?
No.
Is this the like the woven timber railing? Fence details, is the fence,
It's a fence.
is that different?
Yes.
So
It's the same rail as
that's the cap.
it's the trail.
So was that it? Above the snaky looking curve detail? This?
No one down.
That one.
Here's, looks like typical handrail. Is that it, Jimmy?
Yes, probably.
Bill, from a procedure standpoint, are we allowed to determine minor if with with conditions?
Yeah.
So
So we
we-
have to, in this case, because. I mean, if the board wanted to go with, peer reviewers' recommendations, we're already requiring, you know, as-built, right now, conditions that we would have to have, if you went right with the peer reviewers, recommendations, which I would certainly advise. We said the town agrees to the modification development agreement must be amended to reflect the updated limits, so that the updated plans. They're recommending that the engineer provide an accurate walkway limit drawing and area for the development agreement, so that basically the first two are for like an exhibit that would be added to an amended development agreement, which is relatively simple, I think. But the second, we're requiring, the as-built, they have to be stamped for the mall modification. And, they're recommending, you know, that the land surveyor provide a stamp plan. And also there's a full site plan layout update for the project, documenting the walkways, parking areas, and other impacted areas for modification. So they would have to condition a set of as-built as if this were the original decision. Now typically with a decision, that's a requirement of the decision, so that's in
Right.
itself not unusual.
But can we, are we even allowed to rule minor modification with the condition of maintaining a certain width for access?
We,
Is that even allowed?
well, there's no rules on what you can put in a condition for it.
Can we condition a minor modification determination?
We've done it before.
Okay, I don't know if that answers my question, but.
I think the idea would be in order for the, it has to be, if you condition it, that it has to be recorded with the development agreement. And the board's not gonna, if it doesn't meet that, the board says it doesn't get recorded, then it's, you know, it takes care of the site plan portion and the planning board's portion. But there's, and this is what I was talking with Steve earlier about that if we modify, make modifications, and then development agreement would require new exhibits that reflect the as-built conditions. So what that would do would be move it off of the site review part, but it would incorporate it, so that would give the board that security. Which, again, which we would want anyway, we would want the as-bills, you know, anyway, but this additional step would be recording it in development agreement. And in order to be valid. I think that, what if, the way to handle this practically would be if the board set parameters. For what they felt they wanted to see. And if you could empower the chair, or you could have the applicant come back, I mean, you can empower the chair to make a determination when a condition has been met. And then we go ahead and have the finding recorded. So there's a couple of options, but it's not like a special permit where we have a state statute decision to do. This is our site plan, that's a creature of the locality. You know,
Hearing board comments thus far, my inclination is to potentially consider this a minor modification if we have confirmation that the walkway remains 8 feet from tree well to rail, right?
Excuse me, can
Yes,
I
sir.
say something?
Yeah.
Because of memory, I can't honestly tell you if it was 8 feet or what it was before, and if we could. Put on there, you guys would agree that the wall has not shifted. Any more than, let's say, 12 inches or something like that, because maybe
So,
it only showed 7, I don't know.
so moving from so you're saying,
I think
Are
it moved by 2 or 3, 4 inches, it was so small of a surprise to
Okay.
myself. But if the regs call for 5 foot. We're more than all set, but if we say 8 feet and it only showed 7.5 before. You know, if we don't have a measurement on it right now,
Mm.
and we're having a hard time scaling it. Then if you could say, well, providing the wall did not move any more than. You guys can determine how many inches you think you wanna say. If it was okay before and you approved it, then
So you're asking if the board can consider how far the wall has moved from the
Yes.
design and not
Yes.
the walkway itself. I'm happy to consider that too. It's just without a formal survey to see that.
we actually have the formal survey. I don't have it here.
Okay,
But we had the formal survey. This came up months and months and months ago, we had to get an engineer, the engineer came. Looked at the thing as we were building it. Drew it up. Get it approval, building inspector looked at it while we were doing it. Then rollback still was going on about it, so he couldn't make it, the measurements work because the drawing he had didn't work.
okay.
So then we hired, surveyor, to survey it, and we had that survey.
Bill, I mean, if we can find that the wall moved within 1 foot. Let's just say the board agreed to considering that a minor modification, if that can be determined that the current position is within 1 foot, 12 inches from the original proposed.
So, just to make sure I'm clear, in other words, if the board approved based on verification from the stamped survey plan, that there is a movement at the original position of the wall not to exceed whatever number.
Yeah, whatever number.
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't do that. The question would be, we want to clarify who determines it and ensure.
Yep.
That.
But if it ends up being more than that, then we would need to have the board's input
Yes,
for potentially a minor major determination.
Yes, I would have to move the ball. I'm willing to do this at
Okay.
12 inches, I'm actually willing to do it at last, if that's how you feel.
Okay,
I just want, this is climbing on 8 years now.
Yeah.
So,
understood. Yes, sir.
Uh. The modification request is to change the wall type.
Hmm.
We're not looking for you to sign off on the as-built and say like, we're done.
Hmm.
That will come later.
Okay.
That's already in the site plan.
That we can do right now.
Yeah,
If the request is simply the wall type and we deal with location and promenade spacing later. I think that's that the board has enough information on to determine minor major.
yeah.
If it's just wall type.
That is all we're seeking right now, because eventually a site as-built plan will need to be submitted to get final sign off from the board. That really is. I guess I have the holder, but it's,
Not interested in the as-built. I mean, the change of material affected the encroachment of the walkway. So I don't care. I mean, you give me an as-built showing you ended up with a 4-foot walkway. I don't want that.
but it's good.
But, I mean, if the proposed wall only moved 12 inches closer to any of those tree boxes, oh, it's fine.
Yes, no, I think that's a good idea, that's more than. I'm happy with that.
So we can make a vote on whether minor major on wall type. And then I'm happy to work offline with you guys to figure out how to get the proper information in front of the board for understanding wall location. Is that fair?
Yes,
And it won't be the final as-built, of course, we're gonna need that information soon to determine minor major on location.
now the board. That's fine, here's the letter, but remember, when an as-built comes in. The as-bills typically are not reviewed by the board. So, an as-built is typically verified by the site reviewer, in this case, it'd be Bogart would be. And so, if I understand what you guys are asking for, then we would. Like Bill says, it's not a question of the material, I think that you're asking, that's simple enough, but. Ensuring that the town is protected to a level, to have the minimum variation they want from what was the approved design. And if it's not, there's only so much recourse. You know, that the board's gonna have, and, you know, this, so I think the way to make this work would be, submittal of an as-built of the wall, executed by or stamped by a surveyor. And, that demonstrates that there's no more than such a deviation from what was originally approved, and then that would work.
Right, so that's not
Waiting.
that's not the final as-built being submitted. on the
Right, right.
project. This is an as-built of the wall itself.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what, sorry, one sec. And that is what the peer review engineer recommends applicant engineer to provide an accurate walkway limit drawing and area for the development agreement. Which is essentially an as-built of the wall, showing that it's still compliant with the development agreement. Or if not, it shows the change of them.
If you did that. And, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And,
But that would have to be another major determination.
no, we could say provided this, just make it contingent. This determination is contingent upon, a demonstration by the conditions as outlined in the agreement, which basically, but what you have to do is identify the deviation. You'd be willing to tolerate 2 feet.
Well, right, that's kind of the other side of this, like, you know. We also wanna set a minimum, like if it's changed less than 12 inches, but the width between the rail and the box has not gone below X.
Exactly.
So it's not just a delta, but it's also,
No, it's saying not the delta shall not exceed this.
well, yeah,
Right.
delta should not exceed this, and it's also still providing X width.
Yeah.
Or whether we want
Whatever
8
you
foot or
say.
7 foot or
Exactly.
whatever.
So we just spell that out and then it makes it simple. And I think, Mr. McDonald, that sounds like it would be. Makes sense and everything and all, that'd be something where you understand what we would require with that, just something that says, okay. Stamp plan says, here's what's as built, here's where it stands, here is the original plan, what was proven, there's X amount maintained, X amount deviation, and. I mean, if the board was go to that, and the materials, I don't think I'm really sure, but that'd be the best way I can think of. Which is more or less what the peer reviewer said, just without identifying.
Bill, you shared some concerns earlier. What are your thoughts?
Does this information already exist and it's just not available tonight? I mean,
I'm sorry.
this information already exists, it's just not available tonight,
Yes, that is,
but could we just not look at it at our next meeting?
A week from now?
Yeah, sure. I don't have that, I don't know why I don't have it surveyed, you have it right now?
actually, Jackie just told me, Jackie couldn't be here tonight. Jackie just told me on the text that Paul should have it, so we're.
Yes, that's the plan we're looking at. That is an as-built. It's a progress as-built. It's not stamped. Our office didn't do it, but it is the as-built, like, that's
No,
the
the
as-built.
as-built that the surveyor did, not you guys. Stop.
This is the only one.
So. I mean, we have a meeting in a week, right?
Yes.
But I think, well, I'll ask the board this, any questions about the wall type and construction of the wall, not the location, but the construction and type of the wall, any questions or comments on that? Okay. I think the message here is that the wall type. The board doesn't have any concerns. So Jimmy, wall type, no concerns.
Thank you.
Okay, we may not be able to get that fully, in writing tonight, but that's the feedback. So you don't have to replace it with block wall, if that helps.
Right,
Um,
can I say something?
sure,
Regarding the width, if we're all in agreement that the new wall is safe and appropriate. And we're all in agreement that the priority is maintaining a comfortable width of promenade. I'm not trying to like go changing things around, but like if there's a tree well at the pinch point. Could we move it a couple feet? Like, I understand that these things, the wall being slightly different was unplanned, like the location changing because of the tree roots that are rotting or whatever it is, I'm just saying, like, I feel like we all know what the priorities are here, so. That's,
would you guys be willing to just work through these last details?
Give us one.
Sure. Okay. Any other comments from the board on this?
Natalie, did you mean that if you're talking about like a, like, I guess we're talking about the deviation within the setting of the parameters of what deviation is acceptable and what must be maintained?
yeah, all I mean is that if we have a pinch point and there's a tree well that's making it 5 feet wide instead of 8 feet wide.
Right.
We have 8 tree wells in this space. I don't know how meticulously they were placed when originally designed. I have to admit that I don't remember that. But my point is that like their spacing. If it could be adjusted to still be appropriate and comfortable, but would not place a tree at the pinch point to make the walkway
Oh,
more
I see.
generous
Yeah.
there. Then let's have that conversation, because that seems like a much simpler solution than like,
That's a good point. Moving the wall.
moving the wall.
Well, but to me, it's a major minor decision, less than a foot, okay, 3 feet, yeah, that could be a major. I gotta see more. Well, it's not a matter of moving the trees around, cause that just means there's less promenade and, it's not just trees, there's other appurtenances on the promenade. So, if it's a major minor decision, then, 1 foot I'm good, more than that, I gotta see something.
This was the old wall. Blues, your wall, red was the approved wall.
Okay, so
They said.
I just wanna get these guys input first.
Yeah.
Ultimately, over, making.
But that's, we're looking at the red,
Huh?
we're looking at the red, it's faded, it doesn't do.
So the red was where,
So if,
That's what it showed, that's what they.
right, and this is where we.
Yeah. So, yeah. So they're saying there's a pinch point here.
if you do decide to move it next week, it's just,
Excuse me,
yeah, Marty.
Good.
you guys understand that we have, asphalt that we got from Foresight Engineering. And do you understand that the red was where the, post wall was, and that the blue is where we built it?
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at,
The blue is 10 feet wide. Actually, blue is 5 feet.
Well, that's the capstone. That's the current capstone, which is not gonna be the width of the final wall.
So we don't have, we don't know where the wall is, all we can see is the capstone is 5 feet
Well,
wide.
the cap on the wall will be the same as on the drawings, the original.
So the left side edge. That's the wall face. The left side of the blue is looking for it. In providing this sketch, we're just trying to communicate,
Okay,
here's where it was approved, here's where it is.
so that shows that the as-built wall is at the pinch point where the original plan was.
Right.
It varies in other areas.
Right. If it's off, it's off by inches.
So this wall, also for our, at home, if they can see it, this light blue wall was the roughly where the former wall was, the light blue.
Yes,
And you're saying that now the red We have the red, which indicates
Approved.
The approved wall.
what was approved in the original. Right, decision.
Yeah.
The royal blue, right, this first one here. Is the gap.
Correct.
And the left-hand edge of the cap is the new wall,
Yes.
Yes.
which in the middle is no more than 12 inches away from the old alignment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact distance.
It differs greatly on the southern part, but that doesn't really matter.
And Bill, your biggest concern is the pinch point. It is being reduced to, or increased any greater than a foot.
My concern is the information presented to us shows a big blue line about 2 feet away from a tree planter.
Right here.
So
Where you're talking about.
we're being asked to do something and we haven't been given the information upon which to make that determination.
When it says proposed retaining wall, is that the proposed block retaining wall or the proposed stone retaining wall?
That was the proposed block retaining wall.
Okay, so is there a difference in where the railing will have to be constructed? In the block wall versus the stone wall?
No,
Very close.
you mean the location or?
Yeah, like what, like an offset from the face of the wall. I mean, there's, you have to drill down, put some sort of, it has to be anchored somehow in the wall, right?
The
Yeah.
block wall had the same, so.
So the wall location does vary slightly from the approved plan, but the relationship between the location of the railing and the face of the wall, that is, we're not looking to change that. We're gonna keep that as.
So it's the same with a block wall versus a stone wall, you can keep it at a foot from the face, if
Yeah.
that's what it was, or 6 inches, or.
Yes. Sorry.
All right, let's wrap this up.
This was the easy part.
Yeah, I have. I have. Two options here. One, the board authorizes the chair, myself in this case. To confirm that the. Built wall location is within 1 foot of the proposed wall location. And we'll do that. I'll work with the peer review engineer. To have that confirmed through the applicant's engineers and the town's peer review engineer to confirm that. If it's more than that, either applicant commits to. Fixing, we'll call fixing the wall, even though it's not a fix, but relocating the wall. Or coming back to the board. That's one. Two, we kick this 1 week out for the full board to determine.
Option one.
You guys like option one?
You agree? I like option one, because if we determine that it moved too much, then
You guys could.
we gotta talk about it and. we'll-
Yep. And we'll let the engineers figure this out. I'll help them out. And that will be, that's, but the board has to agree to that.
So option one, just could you just.
Oh,
So we're.
I will, but let me take the board, what does the board feel about option one?
I'm fine with you confirming the location of the wall.
I'm fine with that, although. Just a small clarification that it'd be an easterly shift of more than a foot. A westerly shift is not a problem.
Yes. Westerly shift will only be a problem if he puts it into the river and Mass DP comes up.
All right.
Right, no, don't care about that. Someone else might. Get another hearing on that for someone else. What do you guys think? Jeff, Chris?
Yeah, I think that works. I mean. With the wall shift, I guess it's sort of the back side of the wall that we're concerned about, right?
Yeah. Yep, and I can report back.
Yeah, do we wanna put a minimum width that must be retained with that 12 inch?
I felt comfortable with Chris making that determination.
The foot won't make any difference. It'll still be at least 8.
From a site plan point of view, I think not, because the original site plan did not have the width,
Okay,
right? That's all. So I won't be able to determine the change in the width, because there's no initial width.
sure. Okay.
Okay, good. All right, so Bill, the proposal is that the board will consider some minor modification. If peer review engineer can, if peer review engineer and chair can confirm that the wall has shifted, no more than 12 inches to the east along the length.
And the minimum width.
We're not talking about width, we're
And-
talking
and
about
then-
location.
Let me just ask you on I understand the first part. We just, the modification, that we're going to require the development agreement to be updated with it. Right,
But that's your advice?
that would be my advice, and, it's just, excuse me, can you say that again? The development agreement right now, right? Depending on what else we do try to do, but it might not reflect what was done. So we would just say we would add this to the development agreement as an amendment.
So that means going back to the select board and.
No, oh, yeah,
The only way you can do it. So it shouldn't be a big deal if it's. It's made.
good. What are you saying, what,
It shouldn't be a big deal.
they would have amended, no, yeah. No, it's just have a new exhibit, it just says this is what we built.
We don't know if it needs to be amended because we don't know the extent. If the change is de minimis, no, it
Right.
doesn't need to be amended.
Well, yes, but my only point is if that changes, but we don't know what else is coming here. So I think as long as, you know, if the board feels that there's
Look, we're going to send the final determination will be sent to the select board and yourself, and you guys can determine if it has to be updated with the DA, like, but that's not. That's not our determination right now, is it?
no, it's just a recommendation that we reserve that condition.
Yes, that condition is,
I think
yeah,
that's
so that condition's already on the initial decision, so. Right, so any changes to the decision, any changes to the site plan may need to go for modification.
If we determine, I'm not trying to make this more complicated, if. We determine this is a minor modification with the terms that we have, okay? If it's a de minimis. Yeah, no, there's no reason to go.
Mm.
If there's something that's a significant change. We will want to update the development agreement.
I agree, wall location doesn't necessarily qualify that for me, so a change in surface condition could,
Right.
right?
So we-
That could, but we don't know that yet.
So I would say that then,
We
it could be a decision that's made at the time.
That's right.
Do the other, if you wanna add that.
Yes.
But I just wouldn't leave it dangling.
No, I agree. If we needed to change the promenade by 3 feet to the right, well, maybe that's an update.
But on the other hand, I mean, I'd like to leave enough flexibility now, I said, if there's a common sense change, we have to shift a tree, you know,
Yeah.
bit.
Right.
So it's just a field change, I mean, we would have done that anyway, probably.
If we move a tree well to the south by 10 feet, that's a field change. That doesn't require the DA.
That's right.
Right.
That-
And a minor wall modification doesn't either, but we reserve the word right to recommend a DA change.
And then the other recommendation that, Robert, recommended, of course, is that we need at the end, we're gonna need a full site plan layout of asphalts, which you don't want to.
Yep.
So is that clear to you, acceptable to you guys?
All right, I'll just request the board take a vote to authorize, myself to instruct the peer review engineer to confirm that the distance to the wall has changed. If the wall itself is changed, 12 inches or less, then I can determine that it is a minor modification as we discussed tonight. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Anything you can do, sounds good,
I just did.
great.
Somebody second that.
Oh, I'll second it, and then we can all vote for
All
it.
right, now, whatever, vote, please.
Okay.
Yes, raise your hand. Okay, 5-0. Now, let's turn to, quickly if we can, turn to the stormwater item. The board reviewed this and I think everyone has a general understanding of storm drain conditions. Any questions from the board? I don't need that rehashed. I think we all got it. Any questions from the board?
Trying to understand, in the original plan. So. Flow from the parking lot area all the way north and then into the town, but now it's gonna go. Across the property into that storm drain. But yeah. Or was there always some coming from the parking lot across the front?
So we're not proposing any change to what's being collected, it's just the overflow. So. The same area is going to the drainage system that was approved. Has been approved.
So the drain lines are not changing.
Correct, other than the proposed removal of that overflow pipe. But the actual collection system is, we're not proposing any modifications to the collection of the stormwater. It's all the same area. Same structures. Only the outlet.
So instead of spilling out of an existing head wall, it's now gonna spill out of the catch basin at the top of the new wall. Basically like a word.
The catch basin design. Doesn't impact the usable. Width of the promenade. Thing.
Meaning it'll be flush and ADA compliant.
So that was actually one of the comments that John made, is replace the grate on the catch basin itself. And that is fixable.
My comment during the review of this was I just want confirmation that. If whatever we can, do not flood the promenade in winter conditions, of course. And to confirm that between the engineers, I believe one of the comments from Bobreck was just to see some design calcs, as I understood it.
Yeah, so I had initially provided calcs months ago when I talked to John about this, and I think he'd only taken a quick look. He called me, he said, let's save the calculations for later, so that's why this version, we don't have any calcs. I mean, of course, we'll provide those calcs, it's typical within as built anyway. Because you tend to see some deviation, we provide the calcs to show it's fine. I can provide them beforehand, certainly, I mean, their job is to submit them to the board, because of course, when we're preparing this, we want to make sure that it works. But then in terms of the criteria for like what is flooding the promenade, I mean. The idea here is that the water is bubbling up for the catch basin, that was on the approved plan for the 100-year storm. We're proposing the same thing, this new stone channel that we've added, I think. Addresses the icing concern. I mean, you need like the day after tomorrow movie scenario for it to really create an icing problem. So we can provide the calcs, but in terms of the criteria, or what, it's not gonna flood the promenade. But in terms of the criteria, what do you think is gonna mean that we're flooding the promenade? I need more clarification on that. Or I can provide the calcs and then we decide if that's acceptable.
On this one, would you like to walk through the bullet comments?
Yeah.
Okay, if you want, yeah.
Well, I'd like to, there aren't that many, I mean,
I'm sorry, what? You know what I mean?
let's run through them real quick. specifically, the outflow pipe from the discharge structure. Will be set to, should be set to the highest elevation possible, right? That makes sense. As you said, it will be below the. The promenade, catch,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can go through these comments, cause I actually wrote the letter to respond, but I said I'm not throwing this at him at 5:45.
Okay, well, if you don't wanna just,
Uh,
they all seem logical to me, so if you wanna,
yeah,
Can I also propose one other thing?
Mhm.
We could kick this portion 1 week. And that way you can fully respond properly, it can be reviewed. That way we don't need to. Double your work and stay here tonight, so you have responses, we want those responses, right? They're gonna have to be responded to anyways.
yeah,
Would you be amenable to just reviewing this portion in a week? Yeah. Okay,
yeah, so you meet next week.
yep. Same time.
Somebody else is going at who are help, yes. I was making sure. I could be here.
You would rather be here, right?
I would. actually.
Yes, okay.
This, on the comments board, I think these are a little bit more. It would benefit.
I don't wanna go through comment by comment, I do, but I would rather have. It responded to, fully, right, and then we can review it.
Yeah, I think to respond to them, you can see how it says he does not recommend it, but if you do it, please note, like, for example, this ending. If you-
I just said I don't wanna go through it.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a white ball, so it's a little very. This is how we make sure we understand,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, okay, that's all right, so comments soon,
Yeah,
okay. All right. Thank you, so, we took care of the first portion of the request, and we don't need to officially continue, but we will continue the second portion of this request regarding the storm drain.
So I will, is the board comfortable if I write up the first part of the request, as, okay.
Yes, let's keep these as two separate requests.
Separately, okay.
Yep. All right, so we will continue this modification, this determination of the storm drain to. What's
It's, the 26th.
to August 26th at 7 PM. We don't actually need a vote on that. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Jimmy, I presume you're gonna stay for this one Summer Street?
Okay,
again. We're gonna give you a break. And I'm gonna open up the public hearing for 141 Parker Street. This should be quick. Okay, so take your time. Go get a beer if you want or whatever. I think, welcome back. Just for the record, can you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Matthew Black, the president of the Let's Fest Group. And we have our engineer here as well. He's on the teams, and I think they'll be presenting.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yes, Linwood Tiv, I'm a project engineer at Goldsmith Press and Ringwall. I'm here as a representative for LexFest Parker LLC.
Sorry, can you pronounce your last name one more time for me?
Yes, last name is Tiv, T-I-V.
Tiv. Sure. Thank you, Mr. Tiv.
Welcome.
Do you want me to let you share this? Would you, want to use some of your PowerPoint?
I have the PDF open on my screen over here. Do I have permission to share screen so they can bring it up?
And Bill, and yes, so please allow that, the applicant and the peer review have gone through the proposed changes, is that correct? Bill?
Yes,
And,
Yeah, yeah.
and who's our peer review on this?
our peer reviewer is, also, Bobek Engineering.
Can. Okay, and what is the status of the review?
They have, They just sent a letter that,
I have a letter here dated August 19th.
yeah, there was a supplemental one just after, I just said, asked me to send something that was a little more.
Okay, and this has comments from Robeck and then response to comments.
That's correct.
Okay, and Mr. Tiff, I presume you're going to discuss the comments and responses?
Yes, but before that, I'd like to kind of start going over the changes that we made prior to submitting the updated site plan to Bulbrook Engineering.
Sure. Yep, all right, please, go ahead.
All right, so following the last public hearing meeting, we went back and take a look at the site again. The first major change I want to really point out is that we have changed the layout of the driveway reconfiguration ever so slightly. I'm just gonna zoom in here a second. Right over here is an existing transformer that is sitting on our curb island that we're aiming to maintain. More or less, maintaining the transformer will allow us to kind of continue the day-to-day operation for the existing businesses on site. And it would be very costly to move that transformer. So ultimately what we decided to do was to try to keep it where it is, but also make it so that the proposed traffic layout can work for what the location currently is. Ultimately, that led to the change in the traffic flow, kind of swapping it back to what it is currently, which is having vehicles come in on the right-hand side, continuing to the back, and then having the option to go to, additional parking spaces back here, or making a left turn and getting out the same way that it currently is today. Generally, we feel that this is an improvement to the traffic flow just because we're trying to eliminate, I guess, a change to the current traffic flow so that it's not confusing to the existing users. That's the biggest change. The second change is the assessment of the drop-off area. So we had reached out to Amy Lovelace at the Council on Aging, and per her recommendation, she would like to see 2 drop-off areas. I believe we had a discussion about that last time. So we're proposing to have 2 designated shuttle parking space. One is located at the front over here, which can be done by relocating the pavement marking so that the handicap parking space can be relocated on this one over here, allowing vehicles to come in back into the spot, and then the lift comes down, they're able to get on the sidewalk and then kind of continue into the building. The second space is located back here. We carve out an existing, I guess, lawn area to provide pavement so that once you have the shuttle come in, park at the spot, you have plenty of space to get off and then cross the sidewalk to get into the building from there. Additionally, I believe, Mr. Chair, you had asked us to consider family-friendly parking spaces, which we have designated 3 adjacent to the 2 handicap parking spaces over here. So really, those are the major changes that we have done prior to submitting the plan.
Thank you, Mr. Tiv.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Did I lose you?
Roads shown there, are they just informative or are they gonna be graphics on the ground? I didn't see.
I'm sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. I'm having trouble hearing. What was the comment? Oh.
Like OMS has gone down.
Oh, I believe so.
May take them a minute to reboot. Or whatever they need to do.
Uh, okay. Oh, boy.
It's another demonstration of Murphy's Law.
Yeah. I couldn't believe we sat through the first few meetings for about maybe an hour and a half now, and it's only now that it's gone down. Oh boy. Um,
Well, that's the corollary to Murphy's Law. The law, anything will go wrong, the corollary usually at the worst possible moment.
oh boy. Are you still able to see the shared screen over here, or
Yes,
okay? Guess I'll just leave it up.
yeah, leave it up and they'll figure it out. We're back.
There we go.
Sorry, folks, you should have it now. We lost internet at town hall. Can you, Mr. Tibbs, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so let's see, we're back on the recording. Okay,
Bill, do you want to ask your question again? Well,
well, I was sharing it with, let's see, can you, is that your screen now? Can you move your mouse? Okay, so you're
Yes.
on right now, okay, Mr. Tibbs on.
the question was about the one-way directionals shown on the plan and if they would actually be painted, and if they are, which was confirmed here, will there be any more information provided about those graphics?
We certainly can. If you're looking for text height or I guess marking material, that can be provided.
Yeah, my concern was simply that they looked just informative and not real because there was no detail accompanying that.
I see. We can, either it could be made as an approval condition, or we can certainly provide a call out for those. Other one works.
The intent is actually have them painted exactly where you have them, right?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit there. I didn't hear that.
The intent is to paint them exactly as in the location shown on the site plan, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And then I had another question about the widening of the exit road, the curving exit road. Since it's staying one way, I guess you have to widen it because of the fire truck, is that why?
That is correct. I believe fire code calls for 20 feet for a clear path, especially around building. I understand that on the right-hand side, it is about 15 feet. But because it's a straight path, they're able to kind of get through relatively easy. it's a little bit tighter once you get to the exit, just because you're kind of turning left and turning right to get out.
And since the widening is less than before. Does that mean those 3 trees stay, or are they still being cut down?
We're hoping they could stay. We left the call out shown there, but it, based on where they're located on the survey, it does appear that there's sufficient room to keep them where they are.
Okay, and then the, a little confused by the front door shuttle parking space that they backed into on top of a handicap parking space or something. I didn't quite understand that.
So the vehicle would come in, they would back into it. The door will open on the right-hand side, the passenger side, and that's where the lift would come down.
But that appears to show a 5-foot access aisle. That's not enough for a lift.
I believe they're currently using this space for that purpose right now, and that's why we designated that spot in particular.
So you've checked the vehicle and you know that the lift can fit in this configuration? Lift
Based
can-
on what
lift can
based
go
on what was
forward,
described to us.
off of it? I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand if you confirm that as a professional engineer, or you're going by somebody else's opinion.
We were told by Amy at the Council of Aging that they're currently using the space specifically for that reason, and the area as described is how they're unloading passengers.
Okay, and then what I need for the record is for you, the engineer of record, to state that those shuttle drop-off spaces are safe, even though they require backing over pedestrian crosswalks. Is that correct? You've made that determination they're safe, even though they require backing over a crosswalk to exit?
Backing over a crosswalk. So this one in particular?
Normally, yeah.
Yes, I believe to be the case.
Okay.
Other questions? Comments? Does anyone want? Does anyone need to? Review any response to comments on the letter?
Can you remind me, what is this current one-way signage, and that's all staying as it is?
That is correct. I believe the only sign that's available is this one over here that says "Do not enter" at the front of the building.
Okay. And then other than that, it will be all painted directionals on the ground.
Directionals on the ground, as well as a couple of signs here and there. Keep left sign over here. Well, I guess that's really the only one, since we changed it back to the same traffic flow pattern.
Other questions, comments from the board? Okay, Bill, I'll open this up for public comment.
Okay.
For members online, if you wish to enter a public comment, please use the raise hand feature, or just turn your video on and raise your hand and we'll call on you one at a time. For here in town hall, just for the record, I don't believe there's anyone that could provide public comment and except for Jimmy. Jimmy, would you like to enter public comment on this project?
No, all set, thank you.
Bill, are there any public comments online?
We have some folks here, but I don't see any hands raised at all.
Do you see that blue arrow? Do you mind just,
That's,
nope, on this really top center of the screen,
To the left,
big blue arrow.
that
Yeah.
one.
Hit that one. Okay. All right. Bill, what's the request here?
question. This request is for a. All right, Oh. Just do that. A modification. It will read. It's a site plan review modification of the existing special permit. And what we're. We actually vote on here. Is. Approval of the site plan with revisions as directed by the board. And a special permit application that grants parking relief for a minimum of 78 spaces. With 35 dedicated by market to the senior center. This is our recommendation, I'm sorry. Approval will be conditioned at a posted public. Meeting with a 1 year of opening if directed by the board, so that was if they're concerned about the parking numbers. So. What you're being asked to decide is a decision on site plan approval. Board determination if you concur that the justification statement. The applicant provided is consistent with our special permit criteria. Just in section 3 of this report, and then the decision of that special permit to allow the request request. And Mr. Tim, is that staff, is that still what you're requesting here?
Yes, that is correct.
All right,
What is
and
the parking request exactly? It's relief for a minimum of,
yeah.
Parking numbers on, beginning of the next page,
What's that?
beginning of the next page there. It has the parking numbers. Right there, top paragraph.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
so what are those numbers, Bill?
The existing parking relief, 89 spaces and there's 73 have been authorized by this board to, they're adequate. The site plan, that they're proposing adds an additional 5 spaces for a total of 78 count spots. And they also did add additional anticipated parking for the addition of the senior center as noted on the proposed site plan.
So we're just approving. The request is to approve a parking waiver that has 5 more spots than the previous parking waiver.
Right, but it's still below the 89 that would be.
Which
additional.
it just requires the waiver to say
Right.
78.
And Mr. Black also has, I've been out there a number of times and we've met, we walked the site together a number of times and I've been out there with a couple of different times a day and stuff. And at this point, he's at 100% occupancy, I believe, and I haven't seen any evidence at all that there's any parking issues, even with the county that they're the former ATM area would be, or the drive-through area. Cause there's certain amount of vehicles, but there's no shortage at all that I've seen.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Any additional information that before we close the hearing that you would like to add? And I just ask, I give that opportunity in case there's something else.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Tiv, anything else to add before we close the hearing?
I do not have anything else to add. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor to close the hearing, please raise your hand. It's 5-0 to close the hearing. Bill?
Okay.
I'm happy to take this one at a time. I'll make a motion to find that the site plan meets the criteria of the zoning bylaws, which is what, section 9.2, Bill?
10.4.2.
10.4.2. No, that's the special permit criteria,
Oh, I'm sorry, what did you say?
site plan review.
Pardon
I think it's 9.2.
me. Let's see. They said they call it out here.
That's all right, that's 9.2.
Good job.
That's the motion.
That motion have, conditions.
Is that the one where we need to have the waiver, the site plan?
No. Well, yeah,
We need
you're
to-
gonna be contingent on waivers, yeah.
You need a waiver on the parking, right?
Should I just motion the whole thing then?
What I would do is run through the special permit criteria real quick. And then I would just say, I would make the approval site plan revisions. If there's anything that you want directed. And then approval that we, it meets the, criteria and grant the relief if that's your inclination. The only question I have is if they feel there's a need for a condition check-in. That nobody on the, council on aging staff and felt there's gonna be any issues or any of the committees, but that's up to the board. So my recommendation would be, we just run through the criteria real quick, which is very straightforward with this project, it meets pretty much everything on it.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the site plan as presented this evening in accordance with our zoning bylaws of 9.2. And find that the special permit criteria for this application has been met in accordance with section 10.4 of the zoning bylaws. This will includes an updated waiver condition that allows to reduce the number of parking spots from 89 required to 78 proposed.
And did you want the 35 dedicated is that part of this plan? The 35 would be dedicated?
And that's what we've discussed, right? And so 35 of the parking spots will be dedicated by marking for the senior center, correct?
They're not by marking, they're, the lease agreement that we have with the town indicates that we have to have at least 35 parking spaces available.
Okay, I'm just going off the staff report, Bill, that says dedicated by marking.
That's the recommendation, but if the board feels,
And then,
Which one second, if you, Bill? It's so, I'm sorry, I might have missed this. So staff is recommending that these are by marking?
well, I wasn't sure when we said 35 dedicated, when we did the analysis, the question was, if the lease calls for 35, right? Is that what it was? Correct.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend dedicated mark, but I would clarify whether the 35 includes the handicap parking,
Okay.
since that serves the entire.
Yeah, 35, so,
35 standard spaces.
but yeah, the motion includes a condition of maintaining 35 dedicated spaces, unmarked standard spaces, not including handicap. Do you still have a question?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think what we agreed to in the lease is that there's availability of 35 parking spaces on a non-exclusive basis. When you start dedicating spots or making them exclusive, you exacerbate parking issues. You know, you show up looking for a parking space as an example, and you have all these dedicated spots, but others are full and vice versa. So it can actually create a parking problem.
We're not requiring any parking spaces to be dedicated. Maybe dedicated is not quite the right word, but
Not exclusive.
available, not, yeah.
Fair enough.
So that this motion does not say you have to mark spaces at all. Is that fair? Okay.
And the only other comment that came in regarding that, which just came in from over at the beginning of this, was that, any, new, parking spaces conform compliance with dimensional requirements of the, parking stall adjacent to the landscape edge.
Yeah, they said they moved the bushes and stuff, so we'll be.
All set. All right, so that's the motion.
We keep the check-in.
You can add, you can add a check into the motion.
I would like to, wait, go back down. Go back up. Right there.
Add a check number 1 year mark.
It's so small. I would like to add a condition of a check-in at a posted planning board meeting within 1 year of opening or sooner, directed by us. Since it's gonna be so rockingly popular, I would just like to have a check-in.
May I ask what that looks like, or what happens at that meeting? In other words, if there is a problem, or, you know, we built the space for the senior center, what happens, you know, how do we?
I guess it's mostly to discuss. If the parking is not adequate, I know that there are other options that have been proposed in a very amorphous way. I don't know, maybe it's not necessary. I guess I just
It should be
was,
with such a radical relief of parking requirements. We would do it for anywhere else. It was just check-in, and it's like, well, you know what? The damn lot's full every day.
It'd be limited to site plan, so parking and traffic flow.
I guess the question is like, what's our remedy, or, you know what I'm saying, what if?
We don't know, yeah. We don't know if there's any issues yet, but we don't expect there to be.
Right.
I don't know.
It's not uncommon that the board checks in with permits that have been issued at a 1 year or 2 year interval. That's kind of, we've done that with a number of them, and I think that you and I discussed briefly that this probably not.
I don't think it will be.
But and it would be almost, I think the board feels that there's an obligation, you know, this is a situation that if it was to occur, they would want to have some, you know, ability to relay this and see what could be worked out. I
guess in the past, we've always used it as when we have conditions that require extra parking planning in relation to the relief, then sometimes we will back off from that a year later if we find that it's no longer necessary. So this is sort of backwards, but at the same time, this project has been so,
Look, so I think that's the motion, right? And that's that.
Chris, you had also last meeting mentioned replacement of any trees cut down. You still want that?
We did talk about it. That was a replacement of trees on site.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really wanna do that. For this site, I thought it doesn't make a lot of sense. These guys will maintain their trees condition as they see fit. All right, that's the motion, Greg, second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your hand. It's 5-0 for the motion to approve. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming in. Mr. Tiv, thanks for joining us, and our apologies for the technical difficulties.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Take care.
with the other decision, I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, let's open up the item number 5, the public, this is a continuation of the public hearing for 171 Summer Street. Bill, do you want to give us an update?
I feel, we started it Sunday, there's been a couple of questions that have come up that have to be answered tonight. I think we also have our peer reviewer tonight. Oh, we have, okay, we have, some traffic, I believe, and Jim's one will be nice, for peer review. For engineering, where we've left it, there was a couple of questions came up. And my suggestion would be we continue just to parse it up and work on them individually. The question of internal parking situations to the project, there's a couple of questions that were raised by a few of yours that I think we should go over. And that there's some clarification required. The second would be the potential for dedicated and public space, where there's been some back and forth, and we have a traffic expert here as well tonight to help help us through that. And then the last part, I think, of offhand, is there's some questions regarding again, drainage and where to go with that. So those are, I see, are the three larger areas that we have. I think so far, one other clarification I would make that I don't know if everybody, I don't know if I made this clear in the original staff report or whatever, but because this is a downtown overlay district, and with the museum on the ground floor is a rehabilitation of the first floor. That's not residential. There is there's no additional parking required by the code or by the bylaws. The shared parking requirements of downtown overlay district certainly do allow for there's some shared space there. The drainage, I really don't, I'm gonna have to defer. We have back to our team from 2 applications ago. And I think our peer reviewers, we have 2 tonight. I think they're both ready to respond to any specific questions the board may have. You also have the comments, which is in the a little small. Yeah, but all right, but I can bring it up on the board and they can let's see, maybe Jim has them and he can.
All right, I'll just, for the sake of time, I'll be a little particular here. Jim, can you hear us?
Yes.
Thanks, Jim. I'll get back to you in a second. And did you guys have a chance to review Green Engineering's comments on this? Yeah, okay. And I know it's short time, so obviously you didn't have time to formally respond.
Yeah.
We can do this a few ways. Obviously we'll need a response, right? Formally and then reviewed. And what I'd like to do is just get to, comments completed, comments checked. That's the goal here. Do you want to start with, do you have any questions that you would like to bring up and discuss for us tonight? Help this along? Did anything not make sense, or did you see anything of issue in the comments that can help clarify? I just want to be able to move this forward.
Yeah, I absolutely understand. A lot of these comments are straightforward. I don't need to talk about it with you. We'll provide whatever additional information or clarification. It's not really something that we need to hash out here. There's some things I can't really speak on, landscaping, photometric plans, that's not me, so we will work on providing those responses. The big one is what do we do about this parking, because the DPW does not like our street spaces. We obviously modified our plans to include the on-street parking. We changed our parking calc, we requested an additional waiver, to waive parking requirements. We believe in, we covered this in the updated waiver request letter, but we don't think that it's super critical that this site have that dedicated space for the museum parking. I know that in the traffic peer review memo, they recommended dedicating space on the Naylor Court public lot. I guess I'm wondering if the board's thoughts are on the comments made related to the street parking. Do we want to continue to pursue it? Do we want to drop it? What is the board's preferred alternative, if we do drop it?
Okay, we'll get to that. Can we focus on some of the comments on site? Just so that I have an understanding what they are. And Jim, I'm turning to your letter. Comment number 2, it's on page 3. It says it is recommended to either provide a compliant accessible parking space that is accessible from Acton Street or remove the proposed parking. Can you just elaborate on what do you mean by, I'm presuming you're saying that space is non-compliant?
Yeah, I can expand on that. So
And, sorry, it can be your team too. Is it, I'm having a hard time reading. Is it Julian or Julia? It's far away from me here. I can't see it on the screen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julianne. I'm the transportation planner at Green.
Thank you, Julian. And please, Jim, I meant your team if it's Julian's actual subject matter.
It's both, you both have, I've given you both co-hosts.
Okay.
So you can share.
Thanks. Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
So the first comment of this, it kind of has a two-parter to this, is one, the dimensional that they're showing does not meet the Maynard zoning bylaws. So Maynard zoning bylaw requires a 20-foot long space by 12 feet wide, but they're only providing an 8-foot wide space by 18 feet long. So that was one part. And then the second part was the location of where that handicap parking spot is. You know, we feel like it's pretty difficult to access that spot. And even if they are able to access that spot, trying to maneuver to leave that spot would be even more difficult, just based on, you know, the roadway and the way it's angled. So I don't know if there's, like, I can share the plan, maybe that will help, so that everyone can see. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So the handicap spot is right here. So basically, if you're coming down the roadway in this direction, there's no way to really get to it. You know, kind of turning into here doesn't seem real feasible. So you kind of almost have to come from this direction and then turn left into here. And then once you're in here, then getting out of here seems very difficult. So trying to back up and trying to turn around or you know, go out this way would seem difficult. And that wasn't one of the turning movements that was shown. So we'd like to see that turning movement showing how it's going to be accessed from Acton Street.
So Chris, comments on both those things. One, the dimension thing. I gotta thank him for pointing out another weird thing in our zoning bylaw that we gotta get rid of. Cause it's old and not compliant with, or not consistent with national and state standards, cause it only has to be 8 and 8-foot space in a 8-foot aisle. So the way it's drawn is perfectly dimensionally correct with state and federal law. As for accessing the space, you know, it looks like when the fire department was parking there, they would come south, pull in, and then back into that space. Is there some physical change that now doesn't allow that to happen? I can't quite tell from the drawing.
I don't know, maybe Paul can speak to that.
Is there any change to that
I guess,
area?
any other crosswalk, is that now, that's like pavement now or something?
And Jim,
Is
can
that-
you
is
Jim,
that
can you
now
zoom in,
landscape?
please?
Yeah, I can zoom in. Is that helpful?
There is another comment that is gonna be relevant to this.
Okay.
But. No, there isn't a proposed change, to the construction of that area. We're gonna rebuild the sidewalk. But we're not modifying we're not proposing any modification to like the width of the accessible area, so.
And remind me, the handicap parking space has to be on this side of the building, because that's the only accessible way into the building?
Yeah, that's where we have the ramp shown, and even if we were to flip the ramp to the other side, the grade is steeper over there, so
Okay.
we wouldn't be able to provide the accessible path.
So, yeah, it's here because this is the best way into the building from an
That's
accessible
why.
standing point. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jim. I don't have I think you heard his questions about the turning in and out. So I think a good formal response in that would be helpful. Jim, do you just want to cover the next comment, which is, I think you can probably summarize it better than me reading it, comment 3 in the letter.
Yeah, no problem. So this is about the on-site parking. And I think it's probably easier if I share the screen again. So let me bring it back up. Can everyone see my screen again?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the concern was that, we're gonna have parking all in here, so we're gonna have two-way traffic within here. And if you look at the dimension here from this corner to this parking spot, we only have, I think it's about 14 feet. So, that's not enough space for two-way traffic. So we were commenting to consider removing spot 8 and 9 to allow for two-way traffic around this area. Let me see if there's anything else part of this comment. And then our recommendation is that, because we are suggesting removing parking to allow for two-way space, that the on-site parking is for essential use only, such as handicap and residential, where the museum parking could be more off-site. That was just part of our recommendation.
Paul, does that make sense? I mean, the nature of the comment, does that make sense? Oh, do you find that one-way flow traffic would be reasonable in this type of circumstance?
I do, there's 4 parking spaces back there, I mean, this is gonna function. Much more similarly to a driveway at a single family house than it is like this is not a large apartment complex. If somebody is exiting the parking lot while you're trying to, you're coming home from work and you're trying to park, you're gonna have to wait 5 to 10 seconds while they go through. And that's sort of the nature of the site that we're dealing with here. I think 14 feet, is suitable for one way. I think that instances where you're gonna see 2 cars going opposite direction, at the same time in that space, it's gonna be frequent. This isn't a regular in and out. People are gonna live here. You come home and you're probably gonna be home for a while. So. Of course, that's the board's determination, but as we talked about at the last hearing. This is a tighter parking lot than the zoning bylaw requires. The nature of this parcel.
Working with Green Engineering in the past, they've done, I think, a very helpful job of just flagging things for us to think about and consider. This is simply a recommendation to consider at this point.
Understood.
I think the key thing, and maybe it's not fully understood, is the parking shown here is only residential. It's not for the museum. There is no, with this current configuration, there's no on-site museum parking shown. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. So in our, I think we have that on the cover sheet. We provide the parking calculus addressed in the waiver request letter. But what we've done is dedicated, there's 10 spots on site, we dedicated 9 for the residential. And then 1 for the museum. The reason we did the 1 for museum is because that's the accessible space. So yes, all residential parking.
And Jim, the next item, number 4, is simple, but you want to just highlight that for the record as well?
Yeah, so this is relative to the one-way. So there's the one-way delivery area here. So we just had a comment that there should be signage, pavement marking, indicating which way is the one-way. I assume the one-way would be coming in this way and then leaving this way. But we just want that to be defined on the plan.
Okay. Makes sense?
Yeah, we're certainly willing to define it as one way. I think at the last meeting. I could be wrong here, but I think we touched on that briefly and sort of said, do we care which way they're going? Do we need dedicated one way? I mean, delivery trucks in and out. This is mostly gonna be like Amazon packages, not, people aren't dropping off pallets more than likely. But if the board prefers that we put some signage up, we certainly can do that.
Well, if the project's proposing one way, it should be labeled one way. If that's the intent. If that's the intent, yeah, we should have some signage. Right?
Can we get some input from the peer review, whether it needs any turn restrictions on the exiting from that area?
Julianne, do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, sure thing. So, I think one of the things to keep in mind with that is that we've also proposed to remove the on-street parking just because of line of sight issues. So I think with the on-street parking being removed, wouldn't be necessary to limit it to exiting one way either direction. But if the town decides to keep the parking at that location, then I think we should consider limiting just for a one-way exit.
Talk about when you exit onto either Acton Street or Summer Street, is it, is it right turn only? Is it left and rights are allowed? I'm a little concerned about the left turn onto Summer.
Sorry, you said I missed that last part.
The turn onto Summer Street. I was just wondering if it needs a turn restriction as to right turn only versus allowing the left turn so close to the intersection.
Yes, I do agree with that, especially with the vehicles queued up at the intersection. They would ultimately have to be like manually let in. But yeah, I think that would definitely be worth considering making it just right turn only. Or Summer Street more specifically.
Is that the direction that they're gonna be going is?
Yeah.
From Athens to.
All right, thanks, guys. And Jim, I just wanted to highlight some of the comments in the letter you made. Did you have anything else that you found that would be helpful for discussion purposes, Jim and Julian?
I think what Julianne was just touching on was in our recommendation letter, we also considered or recommended removing the on-street parking due to the site distances. And I don't know, Julianne, if you want to touch more on that in more detail.
Yeah, definitely. So, if you're looking at the site distance, either from that driveway proposed in between like parking spots 1 and 2, or if you're looking at the site distance for that one-way driveway, if there are cars parked there, it would ultimately be blocking them in both directions. So based off that, our recommendation is just removing those spots entirely and then having the off-site parking provided.
All right, and I think that leads into the big question for the applicant and the board is how are we gonna meet the general parking requirements here? The initial proposal was 4 parking spaces on the street. We've received feedback that some or all may generally be problematic from its line of sight and safety perspective. So Bill, can you just hone in on what the parking requirements are here for us?
In terms of the, in terms of what the bylaws require for downtown overlay district, we are working under, the first floor redevelopment option. Just get this together, give a list. And what that means, is that there's a reduction or credit both for first floor reuse of a downtown overlay property. And because of that, reuse on the first floor, there is no parking requirement for non-residential use. The second consideration, which I'll pull up in a moment, but just so you can keep it moving, is that the zoning bylaws recognize that there's a requirement or an ability for downtown projects to utilize shared parking and not create more unnecessary impervious surface. In the case of the museum where it's non-residential use, I say it clearly falls under that. And I'll pull both of those up so you can peruse them, but in general, that's what we're working with. So I guess my opinion is that I looked at the on-street parking more as a benefit to the downtown rather than as this is what we need to meet the capacity of the parking capacity for the museum. But from just where you're gonna park a car, I think it's all covered under the existing zoning bylaws. That's my opinion.
So how many on site, how many parking spaces are required for this proposal?
What was the number on that?
For residential, for museum or for both?
For residential,
Residential.
well, it's 1.5 per unit.
So, and you,
We have 8 units.
8 units, 1.5 per unit, so 12 total parking spots required.
But I would point out that anywhere else in town, only 10 would be required. We just forgot to
we just
change
changed that,
this, and
yeah,
it's actually
Right.
proposed that we do change it.
Understood. And right now, the current on-site parking configuration shows 8 and 10. Okay,
Great.
so focusing on the parking configuration and the street parking, does the planning board have any comments on the recommendation to remove street parking from this proposal?
Well, I mean, I agree with Bill, it was never for the museum, it was for the special permit criteria to improve the parking experience downtown. And that, I think that can be done other ways as well. But, you know, we need to find that other way in order to, you know, be able to meet the special permit criteria, but I haven't used that. So if that on-street parking doesn't happen, Someday it can happen across the street. But for this project, it just needs to find a way to improve the parking downtown.
Could, I make a suggestion that we have 2 cars on the street. As the other 2 are close to the intersection. But if you, instead of 4, just did 2, you pick up 2 because.
Julian, if there were just 2 parking spots on the street, would you have similar comments regarding lines of sight? As you had in the review letter?
So removing 2 of the parking spaces, but keeping 2?
Yeah, and I don't know which bay to remove, but is there a configuration with just 2 on the street? That would be a more amenable scenario from your point of view?
Jim, do you mind pulling up the site plan?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. So, based off the site distance triangles, ultimately 2 and 3 and 4 would be blocking for both driveways versus that parking spot number 1 to like that northwest corner. I would say it was probably the most feasible if one of the spots had to be kept.
Okay, so from your engineering point of view, 2, 3, and 4 have some line of sight challenges that have been noted. I will note that some public comments we've received have issue with parking spot 1 being in front of a residential house, so it sounds like we're finding issue with all 4 parking spots on the street.
We could move them across the street alongside the church, then there'd be no site issues, but from the zoning requirements, we don't need them. Is that correct, Bill?
It was further, we're looking for the meeting the criteria.
For the special permit criteria.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a way to improve parking downtown.
So
That's
I'm,
what we're looking for.
I think, like, we're very happy to hear other ideas on how to improve that, to make that special permit criteria.
All right, I got one.
Yeah,
The town is slowly trying to take the meters out.
mm-hmm,
Well, my proposal would be the applicant cut the meter heads off of all the Main Street meters and caps the post.
I ask you, do you have a certain way of wanting this done?
In the dead of night.
More suspicious.
Alright.
Answer this.
In other words, can the pipe be cut off? And
No.
filled with like a hydraulic cement? Or
Well,
you actually have to cut concrete all around and re-pour the concrete?
no, I was looking at what the select board was proposing to do in Naylor Court, and sometimes when there's a pipe rack on it, they're gonna leave the post and just cap it. That costs $200. To take it out, dig it out, fix the sidewalk, $700. I was thinking, all we need is to take the heads off and cap the posts, because half of them have pipe racks on the cinema anyways. And just leave it at that. So you set up a jig, you cut off the head and you put a cap on it, you're done. And then you give the
well, you
meter to the cops.
gotta turn the meters in, Jim.
No,
I like that idea, but I don't know that, we're not gonna close tonight, I don't think, on this already.
No, we have to get through
I've gotta get this. That one, that's a good idea.
taking some meter heads will improve the parking downtown, it'll
Oh, I understand.
reduce
No,
the confusion and frustration of people who are showing up to the movies who've never been here.
I, no quarrel with that, I just have to find out the nuts and bolts of that one, no plan.
Isn't there a proposal to have that done soon?
There's an RFP that's going to be issued to remove specific meters in Naylor Court. And there's a RFP is being written and as we speak, and I think this is a great idea.
So,
But I don't know
so,
how to do it.
so could it be that,
Hence my comment in the dead of night.
Yeah, I agree.
could it just be to meet the spec requirements from Naylor Court RFP?
Yeah, what?
Oh, yeah,
No, well, they're.
yeah, for the cap and post, yeah,
They're not capping and posting those,
they are some,
not the ones in the middle.
not the ones in the middle, but the ones on the side.
But as long as there's a spec on
Yeah.
how to cap
Yeah.
it officially, then applicant can just meet
That's what
that
you read?
spec.
And that's what says it's $200 a pop to cut them and cap them.
It's 700 of total.
Bill said to pay 100.
We could all just go do it right now. Maintenance took.
I know.
Yeah, I would have no problem with that, if you find out that this.
I just don't, I can't, I gotta check it out.
We absolutely know, oh, your town staff has to agree to that.
But I would like to say publicly that I understand some of the sightline concerns about the on-street parking suggestion. I do think that we need to start coming up with creative solutions for fulfilling the required improvements to the parking and or pedestrian downtown experience. So if the one that was proposed was not amenable to, various entities, then I think we should,
What?
find something more interesting like this, maybe.
I totally understand, I totally get it now.
Is there any other ideas? I can't make that. Okay.
Well, I hate Cologne, because they could just chip in for the Naylor Court deal, but
That's boring,
that's boring and it doesn't get us a
It doesn't
net
get any,
gain where it matters.
yes.
boring. Okay. So the way I'm viewing this is, call to respond to comments. Just note that Green Engineering does a good job just highlighting things for us. Some things you may come across that are hard to comply with on site. Just raise those, we'll talk through it. Okay,
Absolutely. I've worked with Jim and Green in the past,
Okay.
in other towns, so, yeah, they do a really good job and, yeah, I'll work with them to forward on these items.
yeah, and for example, you heard about the stall width sizes on the handicap spot, like stuff, stuff like that,
Right. Addressing it, so we've identified everything we're doing, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Then we worked through it.
How do you guys intend to, there's some comments on, the lights and the site plans of that's in the landscaping, how do you intend to address those comments?
Jack can get in touch with them,
Okay,
they're
so,
working on it.
okay, all right,
So I'm just sending a note to Steve, so to expect for tomorrow, but. Does the board want me to research that and get that ball going for the criteria and see if something that.
can I just table that question real quick?
Okay,
Sorry, because I'm trying to
sorry.
cut Green loose. So do you have any further questions to discuss when Green is here? Because I'd like to send them, well, they're probably already home, but I'd like to get them back to whatever else they could be doing.
Yeah, I don't think so, let me just take a quick look, because I did mark my copy of this of. Asked them, we addressed that.
And while Paul's thinking, Jim or Julian, do you have any final feedback before we release you for the night?
Yeah, I mean, I think all the other comments are pretty straightforward, that we can work with Paul on. I don't know, like another one was, this crosswalk. It seems like the crosswalk is within the driveway. Looks like this is the new curb cut, so just, putting a new curb cut or a new, pedestrian curb ramp here and moving the crosswalk. And then if you are, impacting the curb ramp, you should check the one opposite side of it to make sure that that's compliant as well. That was another suggestion that we had.
Yeah, that's not actually something they're doing, that's already into the existing, probably the wrong way, so it would be nice to get it fixed.
If you're gonna cut green loose, Chris. Paul, you're gonna, the recommendations that they've made, you're agreeable to in adjusting and working with, the green folks offline and prepare something, and then what I would ask you to do, Jim, is, if those are, what the board wants, you just wanna, make sure everything is, to your liking on the interior parking like that, is that? We could do most of that offline, in other words. Is that, if you're agreeable with most of the changes that, suggestions that made regarding.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these things, like, we're gonna have to provide a response and then discuss it with the board, cause.
Okay.
You know, for example, like interior driveway width. We can't really make it wider, so
Understood.
it's just something, we'll get it in writing, talk about constraints, why we don't.
Right, and, but I
Whatever our
understand,
opinion.
so we've closed each topic, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
you know,
understood.
green,
Yeah, I can work with
Offline.
Ryan if there's anything in
Yeah.
particular that, like, you know, I wanna make sure that. It's a little more sensitive or. I'll work with them as.
yeah, the board appreciates everything is done offline like this, so we don't, you know, there's just meetings to go along. Words worked out better.
All right, good.
Do you have a problem with, if we're not gonna have parking on the street, can we widen into the building? Cause we maybe open it a lot more narrow. And just makes it. a little
The
more
curb
safe. The curb cut.
Okay.
If we're not gonna have it parking on the street, if we're not gonna have.
I think if you're proposing to widen it to a general standard, that's typical.
24 feet, then we have to make it a little wider than that.
So, yeah, I mean,
It's
you're absolutely,
huge now.
yeah, well,
I don't understand the need for it, because pedestrians come first, so sidewalk takes priority over driveway width, so what's the overriding need for a wider than standard driveway?
When you're driving a 1912 Model T, it doesn't have power steering, it's really good to have a wide driveway. It's just an ask, I mean, it's not.
Yeah, but they ain't gonna be moving every day.
No, but every, you know. Just, it's an ask.
I wouldn't give up sidewalk for that.
you're welcome to propose anything you want
Yeah.
and justify it. Yeah. So. All right, Jim and Julian, thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Bye.
Bill, seeing that there's no public comments to be had, we do not need to open up public comment tonight. Since there's no one online or in the room. Should we continue 1 week? Or should we continue to first week in September? I'm thinking first week September.
Yeah, just because we should work with. Give Green some time to review whatever responses that we provide.
It's gonna save the back and forth if we give it time to get this completed.
Next week's gonna end up busier than we think as well.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna do one.
What's the first meeting in September?
the ninth.
Ninth, yeah, right now, don't have anything scheduled on there right now, so that would be a good one.
Okay.
We can do that and I could put the, yeah.
All right, can we continue to the 9th? Is that all right?
Yeah, that works.
Any final questions, thoughts before we continue?
Oh, I do,
You're not on the board. What is it?
I can. The, just want to make sure I understand what, am I? Okay, I think this is a really good idea with the removal of the. parking meters, I wanna make sure I'm asking.
Meter
the
heads.
Question, huh?
Meter heads.
Well, there's gonna be an RFP going out. Is it just, are you saying what's on the RFP? Like to what they're asking for? That's right, it's just.
No, there's a. Chris's point was, there's a spec in the RFP that's gonna say how to do one if it has a bike rack on it.
Right,
And that is you cut off the meter head and you cap it, and that's all you do. And that's the spec we would want to be followed for taking the meter heads off of Main Street.
oh, off of Main Street, this is
Main-
narrow court.
No, this is Main Street, because it's adjacent to the site.
I mean, I'm sorry, not Main Street, Summer Street, Summer Street.
by
Take the
movie
meters
theater.
off of Summer Street. Basically, the meters in front of the movie theater. And they can go take the meter off in front of my office too, but I was thinking, trying to be proximate.
Okay, so this is
Site.
nothing, this
I'm
is
sorry,
nothing to
I'm
do
in
with the
Summer
narrow
Street.
court RFP, that's what.
No, it's nothing to do with it.
It's
It's just,
referencing it as
Okay.
since it's being done somewhere else downtown, might as well just do it in that part of downtown next to the site.
But to the spec, all right, would that be something we'll clarify?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay.
And then I would ask if that's not amenable, that town staff think about other options that can improve the parking condition that's needed.
Okay,
What's our needs list that we could ask the applicant
right,
if it's
understood,
amenable?
understood, okay, now,
We could put on-street parking on the other side of the street. That would work fine. No sight distance problem there alongside the church, but,
We would still have the maintenance cost problem though.
oh yeah, the paint.
Well, you have to
which is
realign the
massive,
payment
so.
markings.
Yep, you want to, but that one really wants to be with a bulb out on that intersection on the church side.
okay, I'll get that straight tomorrow, I'll figure, I'll find out.
All right, I'll make a motion to continue the hearing to September 9th at 7 P.M.
Second.
All in favor of the continuance, please raise your hand. It's 5-0 to continue. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
I'll take care. Thanks, guys.
Let me just take 1 minute. We don't need 2 minutes, do we? 1 second. All right,
We're skipping minutes.
Town clerk's gonna yell at you.
okay.
Not him,
What are we doing, are we gonna do next?
no.
We're going home. Someone will make a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second it. All in favor to close, please raise your hand. 4-0, 5-0 to close the meeting.
All right, we're out of
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, guys. That's.
here.